and coming up to me and telling me a little bit about what was going on, just giving me like a sneak peek, I guess. And I felt like I should wait for him to get out of tutoring. So I finished eating and I sat there for an hour, and I'm not gonna lie, by the end I was being very impatient. I was like, I just want to go to the gym. I've been sitting here, I finished eating an hour ago. Is he ever gonna get done with tutoring? And he ended up coming up to me not even a few minutes later, and I ended up being able to talk to him about what was going on and just be there to support him. And I ended up being able to pray over him before he left, and being able to see him in school after that and just talk to him and things like that. And like I said, I was impatient. I was questioning whether or not it was a actual opportunity for an open door. And it just shows like how imperfect we are, even in situations that are right in front of us. And so we get opportunities to interact with people on a daily basis. It's part of life. And with that, we are bound to see Jesus open doors for us to spread his word. Not only to spread his word, but more importantly, you could be somebody that saves someone. Like, you could be the difference between someone's death and salvation. And it's a scary thought, honestly, to think that you can make the difference. Just a few words that you choose not to say could be the difference between somebody's death and salvation, somebody finding Christ and not finding Christ. And I just think that's crazy to think about. So how do we speak through fear? Like, how do we make it through that fear? How do we approach doors that Jesus opens for us? And so my first point for this is we got to jump to action, because Jesus doesn't call on us to sit and wait. He wants us to jump and grab his hand as he guides us through these opportunities. It talks about this in verses 26 and 27 of that story. And I honestly like to compare it to like having a new neighbor. Somebody moves in new next door to you, and you see them for the first time. What do you usually do? You say hi, you greet them, you welcome them, you want to make sure that they feel at home. And if you don't, I mean, it's just a missed opportunity. Like, when you see somebody that first moves into a house and you greet them, that can be such a huge thing. I learned this because I had new neighbors move in next door to me, and I was the first person that greeted them, and I've had a really close connection with them since then, and it's just been huge. It's huge to do things like that. And so we need to jump to action, or we jump to action because we're not promised another opportunity. You can say that there is always tomorrow, but tomorrow is not promised to us. Sometimes we like to sit and be like, okay, just let me finish my coffee or something, and then I'll go do it. But it doesn't always work like that. If Philip would have waited to go to the road, then what are the odds that he would have caught that chariot? That chariot could have completely passed him. He would have never seen it again. And then he just goes to the road and he's like, what am I doing here? And it also shows disobedience because he was in the desert. Like, he's probably sweating. He's wanting to just get to his location, and he's going to want to rest. But instead of doing that, he is obedient to God. And he goes and meets this eunuch and jumps to action. He just jumps right into it, immediately asking him, do you understand what you're reading? Things like that. Immediate. He's just right there, right to it. And then my second point is to be patient, because us jumping to an open door doesn't mean that we'll always see it right away. And Acts 8:35, that's where I saw this. Philip asks the eunuch if he understands what he's reading, and he says, how can I unless someone explains it to me? The word isn't something that people can just pick up right away and completely comprehend. It takes time for us to understand, and the more we open the Bible, the more that we're going to pick up out of it. And no matter who you are, you could read the Bible 1,000 times and still learn new things every time you pick it up. So just being patient and understanding that it takes time to learn these things and to understand them, and that it won't work immediately. Like it might not work immediately. It might not work. Might not see it because God doesn't always intend for us to see it. Sometimes we're just meant to go and we're meant to plant seeds, and then God does the work behind the scenes. Sometimes we don't always see the work that's happening at first. I mean, eventually you might, and sometimes you might never see it. You know, there might be an opportunity that you get where you go somewhere and you could be just standing on a street corner downtown Delaware holding a sign that has a Bible verse on it, and it could be intended by God to impact somebody that you may never interact with in your life, but that could have changed their life forever. And it's just being patient with that, understanding that God has a plan whether you see it or not. And the last one is to just stay loyal to his calling until it's evident that it's time to move on. So you want to make them feel at home, and sometimes it takes time to, oh my gosh. It takes time, so stick by them until Jesus shows his intention for you to move on to your next neighbor. So, like I said, with the moving it, like a new neighbor moves in next to you, you don't just walk by and say, hey, one time. If you greet them, you're going to greet them every time you see them for a while, and you're going to keep building that bond. And sometimes small things like that can have a huge impact on people. Like, it can lead to a lot bigger things. Like with my neighbor, I have a pretty tight-knit relationship with. That's what I keep going back to, is just like thinking about the connections that you can have with your neighbors and thinking about the way that it impacts them as well. If you say something to your neighbor and you get them to feel confident in where they're living and things like that, then they might feel more confident to go out and say something to their neighbor. And then it just keeps going. And you keep going to your neighbors, and they keep going to their neighbors, and then those neighbors keep going to their neighbors, and it just multiplies like that. And it keeps growing. So stick by their side until God removes you from that situation. And sometimes you may not feel that it's time to be removed from that situation. Sometimes you may feel that it's too soon, or you've been in this situation for too long. Like, you feel like it's not working fast enough, and you just want it to be over with. But you got to be patient and just be obedient, let God work and use you to help build this foundation for somebody's new life. Because God does use us to build foundations in people's lives, and it's not about us ultimately, it's about God and what he's doing in people's lives. So let him use you to build that foundation and help start their new life. So it's just really cool to see we get this opportunity to be utilizing our gifts that Jesus gives us in a way that he intended for us to use them. And our connections to people is also a gift. We get the opportunity to connect with people and to communicate and build relationships and bonds with one another. And that's a gift that everyone has. And if everyone's willing to jump and grab Jesus' hand as he guides you to build these tight-knit relationships with people and take these open doors, and just be patient and keep coming back to those people and just keep building on that relationship and allowing them to learn about God, it can just be a huge thing, and it can save someone's life. So I'm going to pray. I'm going to invite up Stephen to do a response. Jesus, I just thank you for gathering everybody here. I pray that as we exit or as we enter into a time of response, that you can just be on people's hearts and showing them the way to relationship with people and building these bonds that they can use to connect and draw people closer and to you, and just continue to build relationships with anybody and everybody around them, not just people that they already know, but people that they don't even know, that you would just come onto our hearts and allow us to see where these open doors are and where you open these doors for us. Thank you for everything you do. Thank you for working in our lives. And in your name I pray. Amen.
Thank you, Adam. Thank you. So for response time today, we're going to do actually a little bit of discussion, and then we will conclude in prayer. This will all be around your tables, and I'll warn you, I'm going to ask someone at your table to pray over the rest of the table for open doors. That'll be the third point. So be wary. I'm passing the ball of prayer to you all. But first of all, I just wanted to get discussion going with sharing a story at your table about an open door opportunity that you've had, like very similar to what Adam shared about his story at Panera. That was an opportunity that he walked through, or you can share one that you missed. I will get the ball rolling and sharing about a story that I missed, and then you guys can share at your table. So it was actually funny. Adam shared about an opportunity he walked through pretty much the same week as me. There's somebody at a facility that when I'm a hospice chaplain visiting different facilities, there's a particular person that I've been praying for. And actually, like, the thing that the Lord has put on my heart is I really want this person to come to our church and meet Chelsea Bear. Like, that's like who the Lord has highlighted in my mind, like, this person needs to meet Chelsea Bear. And so anyways, this individual, they're at this facility, find out that they've been moved to weekends, and I'm like, I'm not going to see this person anymore, but the Lord's been putting on my heart to pray. I'm sitting with a patient, and this nurse walks in, and I'm like, you're not supposed to be working today, it's a weekday. And then it just so happened, she's like, I literally never work weekdays, but today I'm here. And I'm like, this is my opportunity. She checks the patient. She walks out of the room because I'm visiting with the patient, and I intend to go connect with her. And then she's like gone. I can't find her anywhere throughout the day. And so on one hand, I can give myself grace and be like, I was there for the patient first. On the other hand, I'm honestly kind of like feeling a little bit challenged by the Lord because the patient I was with was a pastor and would have been very excited about like that type of conversation with the person. So all that to say, I missed that, and kind of to Adam's point, like the idea of jumping on it, like I'm not like sitting in shame or like beating myself up about it, but there also is kind of an appropriate, I missed the opportunity to jump there. So I'm continuing to pray that the Lord would open another door because she needs to meet Chelsea Bear and how she expresses Jesus. So all that to say, that's my story. I'll let you guys share a couple stories at your tables, and then I'll come back up.